Howdy, folks. Good evening. Welcome to the Brothers. We talk real estate in Texas and beyond. So tonight we're gonna do something a little bit different. We're in remote locations. COVID hits us all. So Mary, my producer, who's normally sitting right next to me, we're not in the same place, and we got guests that are going to join us later. And so bear with us, and be sure to get your comments in their Facebook or YouTube. There's a link there to let Facebook give you permission. So actually stream your permission so we can see your name. We'll answer your question, but we know who it is if you don't click that link. So as I said, I'm keeping some real estate. So we have this franchise with a partner. I'm also a realtor here in Cal. I'm coming to you from College Station, Texas. And we run this Brazos Real Estate Investors Club. So we're happy that you're here tonight. I'm also an outside loan officer with Jet Lending, bringing some jet money up here to Bryan College Station area, but we're doing loans beyond San Antonio, Dallas. So if you got a property that need funding or need opinions, just let me know. So be nice, get your questions ready, start posting. Tonight we're going to flip the script a little bit. Mary's going to interview me. Mary's our producer, as I said, but she's also a part-time investor. So she's got to kind of bring the perspective of the new investor, listens to the crowd, and is going to bring your questions to me about different exit strategies, what to do with the real estate property, what methods cost more money and make you more money, be it holding rentals, wholesaling, seller finance. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. And then we're going to finish the night. We're going to bring in some great friends of BRIC, great friends of ours, Tom and Cindy Mahi. I'm going to talk about merger and tax options, just falls in that. So we're excited. Studio, any hiccups you see in that is not their fault, it's ours. Also, thanks to 12 Realty and our title sponsor, University Title, just for continuing to support us throughout this COVID, so we can keep this investor. So without further ado, we're going to take a short break, and when we come back, it's going to be me and Mary. All right, go recharge your drink, and we'll see you here in a few.
Hi, Keith.
Howdy, Mary.
I'm Mary Hirsch, yes, and I know a lot of you on BRIC. I have been a few years now, but I don't have broad experience. I still consider myself somewhat new to real estate and investing, and I really appreciate you answering some questions on how to develop my roadmap through property investing.
Sure. Yeah. Well, I know you've been in BRIC since we started it up, and we drug you into the admin side, but all along you've kind of been in there with the community, doing a few deals a year, little different each one. So it's nice whenever I talk to you, the part-time investor, or I forget sometimes because we're doing it all day, every day.
Right.
So you help me slow down and translate the language of investing. So
yeah,
fire away.
And sending great recommendations on things like HVAC and things like that. But it seems like a lot of people think about investing as I'll go get a rental property and then I'll have a steady monthly income stream. But of course, we've also heard about flipping, where we're going to buy a property, rehab it, and then put it on the market. So if I'm an investor who only has enough funds to do one property at a time, what would you recommend for an investor with that profile?
Yeah, so money's not only a resource, you know, you have your time. So what takes up, assuming that, you know, you have time, what takes them the most of your time and money? I would say that, you know, the classic, when people think I'm going to do real estate investing, they think fix and flip shows on TV, and where it's buy a house,
Yeah,
swing some sledgehammers, and
I've
then
seen.
it's beautiful, and then you sell it. And almost everybody who thinks I'm going to get into real estate investing thinks that that's what it is. That's a small part of it. I don't think I've ever swung a sledgehammer at a building. I might have, but so that's going to take the most time and probably the most amount of your money, is to buy the house, actually close on it, so you're now the owner, and then do renovations and then sell it retail. It's probably the hardest thing to do, and probably takes the most of your money and also your time. I tell people, if you're at first one, make sure it's the house that's in between your real work and where you live, if you can, because you're going to be there every day, probably.
I made the mistake of doing one out of town. I won't be doing that again soon.
Yeah.
Those are some great points to think about. And I think what some people, depending on where they are in life, are thinking about that steady income, but they're not that crazy about the idea of rentals, dealing with tenants, and then property maintenance. So is there something else that is a steady income stream that where no tenants, no maintenance?
Well, so you get that same scenario where you bought the house and you closed on it, and then you um, um, own it, you fix it up, and you want income stream. You know, a lot of people just keep it as a rental. I don't know if we fade out there for a second. What I was saying is, you know, you can hold the property as a rental. So um, that that's great, but yes, no, maybe so. So we're having technical difficulties. I apologize. Mary, you still hear me?
Yes, I do. I still hear you.
No?
I did hear a little bit of underwater, but prior to this, we were doing fine. So we can carry on.
Okay. Yeah. So holding the property as a rental is good. You just need, you know, have a loan with the bank that you're making payments on, and then your tenants are going to pay you. So everybody understands that, holding the rental. But if you're, the other way is to sell the house, seller finance. The difficulty there is, so now you have people who are living in the house, they're the actual owners, they're making payments to you. The difficulty there is you need to own the house outright if you're going to sell it, seller finance.
Right.
Now, there is a way to not do that, but it gets pretty technical. It's called a wrap, where you have a mortgage with a bank, and that bank normally they'll accelerate the note, or they'll a due on sale clause that doesn't allow you to sell it. But there is a wrap where you can sell it, and you have another lien with another note with a new buyer, and that wraps around your existing note. Everybody has to be aware of it. You all have to sign an agreement that your bank needs to know that you don't own it anymore. Your buyers need to know that there's a lien. Like if you give me the money and I don't give it to my bank, they could take the house from you. So it's just three ways. It's complicated, but we do have a few. And in that case, it does seem like a tenant in there. They're making payments to us, and we're paying our notes with those payments, and we're pocketing the rest. But it's not entry level. It's a little bit more difficult, and it is hard to find banks who will do that. So that's a deeper discussion. But that is a way.
But
It's not necessarily easy.
right.
Yeah.
As I understand it, there's no property maintenance on my part. I don't get phone calls from
Right. You're not the
the
owner. You're not the
Yeah.
owner. You're the lender. Yeah, they're the owner.
Right. And that's, I think a lot of people would like
And
not to be.
but then you do get a steady.
Right.
Yeah,
They've got to
yeah.
pay the note.
Um, and so there's another way. I wouldn't call it a steady stream of income. It's a lot of work, and it's called wholesaling. And all the time, what's wholesaling? And here's where they're a little bit scared, especially if they find a deal and they realize it just means that a real estate investor found a property, wrote a contract to buy the property, but prior to closing on that, they essentially sell the contract to somebody else. And so if in this scenario you're the investor, you can get a property under contract for a certain amount, let's just say 50,000, and then you bring it to BRIC, you bring it to the real estate investor community and say, I have a property that'll be worth 100. It only needs, 10, 15,000 in work. I'm selling it for 60. So you have it under contract for 50 and you're selling it for 60. And so when somebody says, I'll buy that for 60, sure. Then you do what's called an assignment of contract. You sell your contract to somebody else. Perfectly legal, legit, happens every day. And then you give all that to the title company, and they do. And now you, as the original investor, you wait till closing to get paid. You basically get paid. It's an assignment fee, but essentially you're just the same as the AC repair guy down there at the bottom of the HUD. Contract is again. Everybody needs to be aware that this is what's happening.
Right.
That's another way, and it doesn't take a lot of your capital, because in the scenario I just described, it took zero capital. You never brought any money to close and you got paid. But it does take a lot of your time, and it does take some money to advertise, and a lot of driving around, and a lot of sitting in living rooms making offers, and then a lot of getting in front of investors to bring those deals with you. Now, if you're the C, we call it A, B, and C. A's, mom and pop selling their house. B is you, the investor, looking for deals. And then C is going to be the end buyer. If you're C, that end buyer, and you see a wholesale deal, someone's bringing a wholesale deal, it's okay as long as everybody's up front and honest and nobody's trying to hide anything from you. And you can bring your realtor in as the C buyer, just as long as everybody, that middle investor is okay with it, paying it, if there's room in the deal to pay your realtor. But I wouldn't call that a monthly stream as that middle investor. That's a lot of work. I mean, we do it. It is a monthly stream for us, but it's not something you're going to do on your side while you have your day job. It's a lot of work.
Right. It sounds like it. That is a very good summary. Where can I learn more, and how can BRIC help me with creating my own roadmap through all these investment paths?
Yeah, so that's a great question. And so BRIC itself, this is a community of investors. You can come to these meetings once a month whenever we go back in person and meet. Then that's great because you can network with people. Bigger Pockets online is good. Our BRIC's Facebook page, and just get out there in the community. Some of the investors starting to open back up in person. Jet lending is about to. So to get in front of people live, network, and talk. I think we're freezing up. Yeah. Apologize again for the difficulties. Mary, if you can hear me.
Yes, I can hear you now, and that's been a really great summary, kind of an overview. And I really appreciate your information and expertise, and that's helped answer some questions.
All right. Well, I appreciate it. I think we're going to commercial again. Is that right?
Yep. Let's go to commercial, and when we come back, we'll have Tom and Cindy.
And bear with us on that. We may be typing out your questions there and giving to them.
That's right. Oh, we have a question. How long does it take?
Question from Megan. Yes. Hello, Miss Megan. I think Megan is on the wall behind me. So on average, how long does it take to flip a house? Great question. So if you're talking about you buy the house, you own it, and now you do all the repairs, and then you list it, and you get offers, and you sell it, and now you cash money in the bank. So from paying for the house to cashing a check for the sale, some people that are really, really good do that in a few months. It's very, very difficult to do that in a month. It's very difficult to do that in 3 months. Not sure if I got cut off there, but probably 3 to 6 months is average. 3 is fast, 6 is probably good, just because it takes time to list the house, and then that person probably wants 30 days to close. So you might do all the work in 6 weeks, and that's smoking fast, but it's time to buy it, and then you have the 6 weeks, and now you list it and sell it. So 3 to 6 months, Megan, great question.
And I know we have to keep in mind that during that time, we're accumulating property taxes that we're going to owe. We've got utilities and insurance.
And you're going by there every day, and you're paying contractors. They want to get paid each week.
Right.
So it's okay. So, all right, Mary, great question, Megan, and I think we'll go to commercial and we'll be back.
With right, Tom and Cindy. All righty.
Here we go. We're on.
Hey, we're back. And maybe you haven't. So if you got another device, we might hear that. So welcome back. We're with Tom and Cindy Mahi. And some of the things that they do, just I'll introduce. Hey, they've been in BRIC for just as long as Mary, right from the start. We've done some deals together. We've sold them properties. We've helped them rep them with as their real estate agent. And throughout, they just struck me as just honest, hardworking, knowledgeable, and willing to continue to learn. While also, I wouldn't say cautious, but nothing snap decisions. They make good decisions, and just great to work with. So Tom, Cindy, welcome tonight. Can you hear me good? Yes, no, your video.
Yes, we're glad to be here. Yeah.
Okay. Great. All right. Well, I know we're having a little bit difficulty, so I'm gonna just turn it over to you. Take a minute or two just to introduce yourselves and tell us who you are. Thanks.
Go ahead and start. My name is Tom Mahi, and we buy houses at the foreclosure, or if there's any good deals, we'll buy a house. And well, save your money so you can buy a house one day.
We're a little bit nervous, and also we can't see or hear anybody.
Okay, well, you're doing great. So let me ask you this. How do you prepare for the auction? And I'm typing it out.
Not going in. Okay, we look in the courthouse. They have it listed, so we research those properties. Then we drive around every chance we get to look at houses that are in the foreclosure.
Lots of research. We've learned over the years, several, a whole bunch of different websites you can go to for public information, whatever you can find out about each property.
So what? So you research.
Y'all are frozen.
Yeah. So you get the. I was just gonna let you
like
talk.
We're in the by ourselves.
So I'm gonna just.
Can you send us a chat, maybe?
Yeah, I will. I'm gonna let you guys talk about the preparation. We can hear you just fine.
Okay. The first question that we know that's on our list is after we buy a house and we approach the owners or the previous owners that went into foreclosure, if they knew that they were getting foreclosed on. And we did have one house where we knocked on the door and said, "Hey, we just bought your house." And he had no idea that he had gotten foreclosed on. And
he said his wife made the house payments, but they'd been arguing.
Yeah, they were going through a divorce or something.
And separated. So he claimed she made the house payments and he didn't know she didn't make the payments. That was the story.
Yeah. And he worked nights, so when we were banging on the door, we woke him up. And he didn't know what was going on. Oh, and we never did meet the wife.
Well, there's something else funny about that house in the backyard.
Yeah. Well,
tell them.
I don't know if anybody can hear us.
Oh.
We're supposed to keep it to a minute.
Oh, now he says talk about liens.
Okay, the liens. We just bought the last property we actually bought had an IRS lien on it for $250,000, and we haven't gotten that one resolved yet. And it also, the lady that owned it passed away, and she didn't leave it to anyone in her will. So we used University Title, and they were trying to get us a title policy for it. And they said we might have to wait 4 years because of the probated will.
The heirs weren't notified properly.
Yeah.
So you asked in these questions about a tiger trap, and that's our current tiger trap.
Yeah. I don't think we're going to lose money because I think we're still good, but hopefully the IRS liens will get dropped and the heirs won't come after it, and we'll do okay on the property.
We're just going to have to hold on to it for a long time, which is something we do not do.
Yeah. It just ties up your capital. Like that's the money we use to buy and flip.
What's the other worst thing that's happened to y'all after buying a foreclosure?
Can y'all see the question on the screen?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. The other worst thing?
Worst.
Oh, foundation problems.
Yeah, we had one where you felt like you were drunk walking through the house. Everything was leaning, and it was pretty scary. But you get a few foundation quotes, and you just pass it on to the next buyer and say, "Yeah, this is how much it's going to cost to fix," and you kind of make sure it adds up into your price you're asking.
Well, we can give a shout out to Walt Childers. He's always been there for us.
Yeah, Brazos Valley Solutions was real helpful.
He's always been good for our foundation problems. So Keith's asking, do we ever pay to run title ahead of time? I don't think we've ever done it ahead of time. We have done it like right after, like on this tiger trap we're in right now. Because we knew there was some issues, so we went ahead and had it done. We've never done it ahead of time.
But it would probably be a good idea too if you're really interested. It's just we were always interested in every property that's for sale.
Are there any foreclosure moratoriums and stays locally in the area? What does that mean? I'm looking at Adam S. question, and I don't know what that means.
Yeah, me
Yeah, I
either.
didn't get that one.
I don't know. I thinking it might be, are they still doing foreclosures right now with COVID?
Well, I think like if you go to a big city, you can really learn a lot about foreclosures because, okay. Yeah, they're still doing the auctions, but there's not many.
Yeah.
Like all last year, like in October, there was absolutely no foreclosures, but every month there's maybe one or two listed. So it's the banks have, or the government has shut down foreclosures for some of the lenders, I guess.
There's still some going on.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, I think Houston has not opened back up. I could be wrong, but you're saying locally here they do. So
yes, there has been.
My question's about to be: do you ever pay more?
Did we ever pay more than we were?
Oh yes, yeah. We were going to every auction for like a year straight, and we never had a chance to buy anything. So this one house popped up, and it was a little bit more than we had on our top dollar we were willing to spend, but we went ahead and bought it anyway, and that's the one that burned us. We didn't really lose money on it, but we kind of broke even, and it was a real hard one to get rid of. So it took a lot of our time.
Wasn't that the one we owner financed too?
Yeah.
To get what we wanted.
Yeah.
What do you do with the houses?
Oh, and these questions. What'd you say? Auction.com?
Yeah, auction.com was,
okay.
They're real professional as far as trustees go, and they explain everything to the T. So if you're doing your first foreclosure, I would definitely recommend buying through them.
Yes.
Or at least going to the auction and watching what they do, because they explain it to the T, so you know exactly what to do.
They do what you would want a trustee to do that not all trustees do, read out everything they're supposed to, go through all the procedures the way they're supposed to.
I mean, it's still a gamble because there's always some hidden issues with all foreclosures, I'm sure. So far, we've been lucky. We haven't lost a ton of money on any house, but it's always a gamble. It's not a for sure deal.
Okay, so they're talking about other trustees. So auction.com is not the only at the auction.
Yeah.
There are other ones too.
Yes. But they act like a trustee at the auction.
What else was this?
Yeah. So
like a trustee. Yeah.
Yes, they act like a trustee at the auction.
Yeah.
Okay. So next question is going to be about what you pay for it, how you figure out what you'll pay for it, and do you ever end up overpaying? So I'm going to type.
You might have to type that one out.
What math do you use?
Yeah,
figure your offer, and do you ever pay too much?
What math do you use to figure nothing to pay too much?
It's kind of instinct, I think, for us. We just look at values as far as appraisal values and kind of comps around the neighborhood. And then the condition is the main thing. You've got uncertain conditions on the inside of the house. So you got to leave room for that if something's bad in there.
Tom always has a gut feeling.
Yeah. Like if you know the house is worth 120 grand and you got to totally redo the inside, you sure don't want to pay more than 50 or 60,000 for it and try to, that still might not be enough room to make money on it.
So do you drive every house lot before you bid on it at auction?
We try to, but there's been a few where we noticed a few other people just buying them sight unseen because it was a real cheap price. So when we're comfortable, we'll probably do that.
Well, we've done that
Yeah.
once or no,
Yeah.
we've done it twice, I
Twice,
think,
yeah.
where we bought something that we hadn't driven by.
Yeah, because we found it on Zillow, like it was advertised for sale not too long ago, and we could see all the pictures of the inside, and we felt good about it.
We've been fortunate that those couple of times
Yeah, it
didn't
worked out.
bite us.
Yeah. Yeah.
What type of hidden issues have you come across?
Mostly foundation
Yeah.
and legal.
So I'm typing this out, but what I drove by a lot on the way to auction, and it was a vacant, just freshly scraped lot, and people thought it was still a house, and they were bidding on it. And I told the group, "Hey, that's just dirt right there."
Yeah.
So
We
I
remember.
don't really know.
Yeah.
So how do you prepare the day of?
You go to
Go
the
to the bank.
get the checks.
Get checks.
Yeah, talk a little bit about that. About what kind of money they take or don't take, and what kind of leave they have the
Over the years, we've seen people.
nominations or
Yeah.
Oh, like cashier's checks and denominations and stuff.
Yeah, like over the years, we've seen some trustees give you 30 minutes to go get your money. That way you can get the exact amount. But most of the time, you better have cash up front, like a cashier's check made out to yourself, and you endorse it to the law firm that's doing the auction.
We heard a bit of what you were saying about taking different denominations with us, and a lot of times we'll base that on, one particular house or two particular houses that we're very interested in, that we might have a good idea that they're actually going to go to auction. So we'll take the right amount of money for that.
Most
Always
of the time, it's all the
cashier's
money we
check.
got. But some people bring cash. They'll bring like a cashier's check for a certain amount.
in the auctions versus other types of investment.
That's it.
Yes, that question on the screen is our tax. Yeah. So my question for you was, what made you get into auctions versus other type of investment?
I had a friend that we just saw the listing in the local paper about the tax auctions, so we went to those, researched some of those properties, and that's how I actually found the property I have my business on right now.
That was like 15 years ago.
Yeah, but after those auctions, we always saw the trustees doing the houses, so we always wondered what they were, and that's what sparked my interest. Plus, watching all the TV shows and all the good stuff on TV, it kind of makes you feel like there's got to be money out there to make. But it's still a gamble, I say. It's not a for sure way of life. For us, at least.
We've learned a lot.
Yeah. I mean, we've made some good money.
Made a lot,
out of it.
lost a lot.
Yeah. I wouldn't say we lost a lot, but we always, if you don't count your time as like full.
Don't count your time as part of the equation of how much money you made.
Yes. Like if you're paying thinking like all this doing is $100 an hour, you're not going to make that. But sometimes you will. You just got to hit the right deal. You got to be there to find the deal.
I know for me, the community, the BRIC community helps me. So how has it helped you, just the community of other investors?
Oh, it's great. Just every time you go to a meeting, you hear somebody say something that you can use in the future of a deal that you had no idea was. I can't really give a good example right now, but I always come across some pointers every time somebody's doing a seminar.
Yeah, me too. And talking with y'all, it's
the owner financing
happening on here tonight, came from the Facebook group asking who does auctions. So that's great. So
I like owner financing.
Derek's question on the screen.
Okay.
Our tax office appraised values accurate compared to bank values?
They're always lower. I mean, right now at this day and age, it seems like they're always lower. But I still go by them just because the property you're buying is not going to be in tip-top shape, and like compared to something that a realtor selling, that everything is flawless, you know. Just kind of use it as a reference.
Yeah, I'll answer that too. People actively try to suppress their tax value, so it's typically going to be low, unless it's a house that has sold in a neighborhood that doesn't have comps, then it might be way off. So it's a guide. And also, we're in Texas, non-reporting state, so Zillow and those sites don't work as well as they do in other states. So really, to get a good value, you either need to use your gut, like Tom said, or pay, or get a realtor on the CMA on that property, because that's what it's going to sell for. It's going to hit the market there eventually. And so, Tom, you said next thing on the horizon for the Mahis is notes. You're going to sell some of these properties, seller finance. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah. We've already done a few in the past, and we got 3 or 4 going right now. So it's working out good, I think.
Awesome. And before you guys came on, we were talking a little bit about wraps. Have you done that, or do you own the property outright?
We're not brave enough to try that yet, but I'm sure it'll happen one day.
Yeah, I think his question popped up before I just answered. I think you just answered that.
Okay.
That's next on the horizon. We asked you a couple questions at once, but so that's next on the horizon is the notes. Anything else big? The floor is yours. Whatever you want to tell the community, other investors maybe thinking about doing what you're doing. What's your advice to them?
Oh, just take your time. Do not force yourself into anything, and because that's the only time we ever catch ourselves making mistakes is we try to do something and make the deal happen.
Yeah.
It's got to come to you, and man, it's so easy when you just have patience and it works out.
Well, and I'll say one more thing about the auction, foreclosure auction. We went to the foreclosure auction for almost 4 years before we ever bought anything.
Yeah.
So that was lots and lots of research and preparation.
We didn't go every month for 4 years, but we stayed with it, just saving our money, saying, well, I think we got to have 100,000. I think we better have $200,000.
And just going up there and watching and talking to other investors and trying to get experience from them.
Yeah, I think we've ran into you there a few times, but we haven't been in a while, which is why I wanted to have y'all on, because I have general nuts and bolts, how the auctions work. We bought property at auction as well. But I just wanted to see how, COVID affected the auctions, and I know auction.com, that we were talking about that earlier. Them coming in is relatively new in the last couple of years into the auction scene. And how do you think COVID's affected it? And is there going to be this big dump of properties at the auctions coming up once they open back up in places like Houston, or when, the protections are gone and we can start? Yeah. Do you see this big bubble coming?
I think there will be, but we'll be ready for it, hopefully. And it'll get you more chance to get something, at least, because right now it's like we didn't buy a house all last year.
Yeah.
Because there was nothing. I mean, there was a few houses sold and a few people that always show up at the auctions bought them.
There just aren't as many deals out there, though. Yeah. But it's probably.
Do you see? It's a question. The types of people I see at the auctions, I see some of the people who are just sitting back watching, like you guys said you used to be. I see people who are coming in like a sniper. They got one property, that's what they're there for, and that's what they want. Maybe it's their neighbor or it's in their family or something. Not real knowledgeable about the auction, but very, very knowledgeable about that property. And then I see the professional buyers. They got an earpiece in their ear. I think that there's a couple of them at each auctions, and there's some master guy clacking away at the computer, telling them what to bid and stuff. And then you got the good old boys, I think, who are sitting there, who are, okay, it's your turn to win this one. It's my turn. Talk to me about that. Like, we compete again at, if it seems like, you know, you're not going to win against the people who are there every month.
Yeah, we try not to bid against the local normal guys because they teach us everything anyway. So
Yeah,
it's a team, kind of a team effort, but we get some every once in a while. It's kind of like a squirrel getting in that, I guess.
yeah. So you let them know which it's my turn. This is the property I want. Yeah. Well, we appreciate you guys coming. I'll just open the floor up if you guys got anything that we didn't ask you or that I missed that you just want to tell the crowd, or if your daughter wants to say hi. The floor is yours.
Thank y'all.
Thanks a lot. Thanks for having us. We appreciate it.
All right, thanks, and thanks for bearing with us on the internet connections. We've never had this many problems in the same night, but we appreciate you coming out, and thanks for your time. And it was great having so thank you.
You're welcome.
Everyone else, thanks for coming.
Yeah. I guess we're good.
Is he going to take us up?